Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro, friends. Today I want to talk about something that was, I guess I came upon it unexpectedly while doing some research over the weekend for the project plan for the coffee supply chain project. So currently I'm working on the project plan for what will become a major project to, first of all, identify what the coffee supply chain looks like in all major coffee growing regions. The next phase is identifying what the kinks are within that coffee supply chain and what the solutions are for those kinks. And then phase 3 is to implement action. Now, none of this is something that we can do on our own as Map It Forward. It's going to require all of us as an industry to do this. And I'm talking with a bunch of people about how we can bring on board partners, as well how you can help with all of this. And we will get into that later. But a quick tip on some of that is jump on our mailing list, because honestly, this is such a huge project. And for me, the big learning from this is going to be how to ask for help. And I'm stepping into that and surrendering to it. I am going to need everybody's help. I am so happy to be in a position where the last 20 years of my career have given me the skills as a project manager for IBM and working in the corporate world and business analysis and doing all of that, having my own businesses, etc., have given me the skills to be able to project manage this. But I won't be the sacrificial lamb in the industry that takes this on board for no reward, in the sense that I can't eat all the costs of this and I can't do all of the work. I'm going to need loads of help. And so I'm going to invite you to step forward and help with that. If you would like to start thinking about ways to do that, we have some ideas on our website, mapitforward.org. But otherwise, jump on our mailing list and stay tuned for how we're going to invite you to be a part of this massive project. So I have, if you are on our socials, you'll notice that I posted a photo of just these two pieces of brown, we call it butcher's paper in Australia, but it's just writing paper. And what I decided to do was I was going to work through just so far what I've learnt are some of the problems of the coffee supply chain. And anyone who listens to this podcast on a regular basis knows that I talk about life currencies a lot. They are how I measure wealth in my businesses and in my life. And I have KPIs, key performance indicators, that are associated with those life currencies. My number one life currency in everything that I'm doing is I'm trying to build wealth in peace of mind. And I have a number of key performance indicators in that. And one of those key performance indicators is insurance. And so if I have insurance for my business, that gives me a greater peace of mind. So as long as my business can afford insurance, we are giving ourselves a big chunk of peace of mind, so that if let's say the weather goes bad and a shipment that we are sending somewhere, just the truck tips over and it's a big shipment for Elixir and we lose that whole thing. Well, I have insurance that covers me, and that brings me as a business owner an enormous peace of mind, right? We hope we never have to use it, but in case we do, we have it. If God forbid somebody in the workplace hurts themselves, we have workers' compensation insurance, and that means that we will be able to look after our people. And that brings an enormous peace of mind. So while I was working through what some of the problems are for the coffee supply chain, I started just floating with my thoughts, and I thought, I wonder if coffee farmers have insurance, especially because the number one objective that we're trying to achieve with this project is to create a more cohesive supply chain that starts at the various different origins that we source coffee from as a global coffee industry. And we want that to flow. We want great competition for everybody. We want a fair playing field for everybody, but still something that works, right? And so when I looked at that and I thought, surely, of course, given the amount of risk that we have learnt through the podcast that farmers have to take on board, surely insurance would be something that they would have. But I, of course, don't want to assume anything. A big part of this project and being open-minded is making sure that we find out the real details. So I reached out to a bunch of farmers through WhatsApp around the world. And I am sad to say that I was incorrect. The majority of farmers around the world, coffee farmers, do not have the luxury of insurance, crop insurance. They make such little margins, if anything. Mostly they are losing. They make such little money on their farming of coffee that insurance is an expensive luxury that they cannot afford. And this blew me away. Really got me thinking about the privilege that we have on the front end of the supply chain to be able, and insurance is not cheap. Insurance is expensive, but it's something that we prioritize at the front end of the supply chain. Just because you can't afford to do business if you can't afford insurance. On the back end of the supply chain, they just simply cannot afford it. Unless they're a big farm that is backed with big money, they cannot afford insurance. And this is just one of the immediate things that I don't know that any of us have really thought about. I certainly asked a few people in my kind of sphere about whether they thought farmers had insurance or not. And a lot of them just kind of went, oh, I've never thought about that before. I don't know. And it turns out that they don't. We have to start getting to the bottom of these kinds of things and how we can help out. Because when I think about it, I wonder if we could find a way to help farmers get insurance. I wonder if we could alleviate some of the stress of all of this. I imagine that if you are buying a particular lot year on year on year from a farmer, you yourself, as the person buying the lot, are invested in the success of that lot. And perhaps there could be a gateway, and I'm totally thinking off the cuff here, but perhaps there could be a gateway if you have a relationship buying set up with a particular farmer, that perhaps going that extra mile and exploring what it would cost to get insurance over that crop could perhaps be a way that you might be able to contribute to that farmer's success. I don't know what's involved in that. And as I said, this was just something as I was starting to plot down all of the things that we know that are on a very general basis broken about the coffee supply chain. And remember, the coffee supply chain is super complex and varied in different regions. But this was one thing that was uniform across the board. I don't know how we find a solution for it. But I'm committed that we will find a solution for this and try and workshop this throughout the process of this project. Jump on the mailing list, mapitforward.org, and become a part of what we hope will become the coffee supply chain revolution. On that note, peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.